What if I told you that an ordinary-looking 1940 Lincoln wheat penny sitting in someone's old jar of coins could be worth nearly $1 million today? Imagine that a simple 1-cent coin, struck more than 80 years ago, now commanding a market value of up to $940,000. It sounds impossible, right? But it's true. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this coin is so special, how to spot one, and how it could completely change your financial life. Let's start with a picture. It's the year 1940. The United States is climbing out of the Great Depression, Europe is at war, and Americans are saving every cent. The Lincoln wheat penny, featuring the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, is circulating in millions. Most people see it as just another coin for a loaf of bread or a gallon of gas. Nobody realizes that hidden among those copper cents are rare anomalies, coins that would one day become treasures worth more than gold. You might even have one sitting unnoticed in a box, an old drawer, or a family coin jar. Think about that for a second. What if your spare change held a small fortune? Before we reveal how this 1940 no-mint mark wheat penny became a $1 million legend, let's decode what no-mint mark actually means. When a coin has no mint mark, it means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the original U.S. Mint, and the one that didn't use a mint mark at that time. Most coins made there were ordinary, everyday cents. But sometimes, something extraordinary slipped through. A perfect strike, a rare error, or a unique condition that defied time itself. The 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny is one of those coins. Millions were made, yes, but only a few survived in such pristine, untouched condition that collectors would pay staggering amounts for them today. Now, let's pause for a moment. Imagine finding one of these coins in your grandfather's old collection. You take it to an appraiser, and they look at you, wide-eyed, before saying, "Do you realize what you have here?" Your heart races. That 1-cent coin you almost spent on a cup of coffee could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's not a fantasy. It's happened. The highest recorded value for a 1940 no-mint mark wheat penny reached around $940,000 for an incredibly rare, flawless specimen. Why? Because of its condition and rarity. In coin collecting or numismatics, perfection is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. The closer a coin is to mint state perfection, that shimmering, untarnished luster, those crisp details on Lincoln's coat and hair, the higher its value skyrockets. And here's the twist. Most pennies from that era were handled roughly, spent countless times, and stored poorly. But if one coin escaped that fate, if it remained untouched, sealed, or forgotten in a pristine environment, it could become the holy grail of wheat pennies. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you checked your old change jars or your parents' keepsake boxes? You might laugh, but history has shown that the biggest treasures often hide in plain sight. Collectors and investors alike know that the Lincoln wheat penny series, minted between 1909 and 1958, is one of America's most beloved. And within this series, some dates and mint marks have soared in value due to minting quirks and errors. The 1940 no-mint mark coin is special because it bridges a crucial era right before World War II when materials, minting techniques, and even the metal composition were on the verge of transformation. You see, copper was soon to be rationed for the war effort. By 1943, pennies were made from steel coated in zinc instead of copper. So, the 1940 penny marks the end of an age, a final moment before America's wartime shift. That historical significance adds another layer of emotional and monetary value. But let's dig deeper. Not every 1940 penny is valuable. The magic lies in the details. Perfect strike, original luster, no wear, and most importantly, no mint mark errors. Some even have slight doubling on Lincoln's profile or lettering, known as a double die error, which can multiply their value many times over. Picture holding one under a magnifying glass, the tiny details dancing in the light. You notice something unusual. The letters Liberty appear doubled. You check again. Your hands tremble. That could be the sign of a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here's a little humor to reset your brain. Next time you see a penny on the ground, maybe think twice before walking past it. That worthless cent might just be your early retirement plan. Now, you might wonder, how does one small piece of copper fetch nearly $1 million? It's not just rarity. It's desire, history, and psychology. Collectors crave the story, the mystery, the chase. They're not just buying metal, they're buying a piece of American legacy. Let's talk about the market. In recent years, interest in rare coins has surged dramatically. Economic uncertainty, inflation, and the search for tangible assets have driven investors to collectibles that hold intrinsic value. A coin like the 1940 no-mint Mark wheat penny represents stability, a relic that appreciates over time regardless of market chaos. Right now, high-grade examples, coins graded MS-67 or MS-68, have sold for anywhere between $10,000 to $940,000, depending on eye appeal, toning, and provenance. If yours happens to be one of those top-tier specimens, congratulations, you're holding history and fortune in the palm of your hand. But here's the emotional core of this story. Most people never realize the value of what they have. They sell too early, or worse, spend it without knowing. There's a fear that keeps people from checking, the fear that it's probably worthless. But what if that mindset is the very thing keeping them from a life-changing discovery? So let's replace that fear with curiosity. Take action. Pull out those jars, those boxes in the attic, those old envelopes with loose change. Because one coin could redefine your financial future. And here's a little-known fact. Coin dealers and collectors are constantly on the hunt for 1940 no-mint Mark wheat pennies in mint condition. There are active auctions, private buyers, and online marketplaces where these coins command extraordinary bids. Some collectors wait years, decades even, to find a specimen good enough to complete their collection. So if you ever wondered, who would pay that much for a penny? The answer is, passionate collectors who see it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Let's add another layer of intrigue. There are stories of people finding these coins in the most unexpected places. Inside an old coin album purchased at a yard sale, or in a coffee can left behind by a relative. One collector discovered a 1940 wheat penny graded MS-68 in a forgotten inheritance and later sold it for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Imagine receiving that phone call. Congratulations! Your coin just sold for nearly $1 million. It's a moment that transforms disbelief into legacy. And that brings us to an important truth. Value isn't always obvious. Sometimes, it hides in something ordinary, waiting for someone with the right knowledge to see it. So, how can you tell if your penny is worth a fortune? Look for these key features. No mint mark under the date, strong and clear strike, no scratches or wear, and that original copper red shine. If you suspect it's valuable, don't clean it. Cleaning coins destroys value. Instead, store it safely and get it professionally graded by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC. You might be wondering, but what if mine looks old and worn? Even then, it could hold value, especially if it has unique errors or die variations. Some 1940 pennies show double dies, repunched mint marks, or misaligned strikes, which can add hundreds or thousands of dollars in value. And here's a quick attention reset. Isn't it funny that we spend more time checking the expiration date on milk than we do checking if our change could make us rich? Let that sink in. The world of rare coins isn't just for collectors in suits with magnifying glasses. It's for everyday people like you, those who value history, opportunity, and financial independence. Whether you're a retiree looking to maximize your collection's worth or someone discovering the hobby for the first time, this coin is a reminder that wealth can appear where you least expect it. And here's where excitement meets urgency. These opportunities don't last forever. As more people learn about the 1940 no-mint Mark wheat penny's potential, fewer uncirculated coins remain in private hands. Every day, collectors are snapping them up. The window to find one is closing. So don't wait for tomorrow. Start searching today. Imagine this. A few weeks from now, you're holding that small copper coin, realizing it's the key to paying off your mortgage, retiring early, or traveling the world. That's not luck, that's preparation meeting opportunity. And if you're still skeptical, remember, every legendary discovery started with someone who almost didn't look. The story of the 1940 no-mint Mark wheat penny is more than a story about money. It's about awareness, curiosity, and the power of small beginnings. The same way a single penny can grow into a fortune, your decision to take action today can transform your life tomorrow. So the next time you see a penny, don't see it as pocket change. See it as potential, a symbol of hidden wealth waiting to be uncovered. Because who knows, The next $1,000,000 penny might just be sitting in your hand right now. Imagine opening an old jar of pennies, and inside one single coin worth nearly $1,000,000. Yes, a single cent that could buy you the kind of freedom most people only dream about. This is the story of the 1955 DeWitt Lincoln 1-cent penny, an unassuming coin with a hidden legacy that's sending shockwaves through the numismatic world, with a staggering current market value of over $955,000. So before you toss that old penny jar aside or cash in your change at the supermarket, you might want to listen closely. Because somewhere, right now, someone could be sitting on a small fortune without even realizing it. It all began in the mid-1950s, a time of booming industry, post-war prosperity, and a mint system that was working overtime to meet America's growing needs. In 1955, the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of pennies. But what nobody knew at the time was that a handful of these coins, marked with that small D beneath the date, would become the holy grail for collectors around the world. Now, before you think, it's just a penny, let's stop right there, because this coin story isn't just about copper and cents. It's about human error, scarcity, obsession, and the relentless pursuit of value in the most unexpected places. You see, the 1955 D. Lincoln wheat penny wasn't supposed to be anything special. Most of these coins were struck quickly, efficiently, and without error. But in a few rare instances, the minting process went wrong, terribly wrong in the most profitable way imaginable. A handful of coins left the mint with a striking misalignment or a doubled impression so faint and peculiar that even trained eyes could miss it. To an ordinary spender, it was just another penny. But to the sharp-eyed collector, it was a treasure chest disguised as spare change. And here's where it gets fascinating. Over time, as collectors scoured through circulation, the legend of the rare 1955 D grew. Stories spread of lucky people who found one tucked in pocket change, who sold it for more than their yearly salary. For decades, the coin's rarity was whispered about in collector circles, until recently, when a pristine, near-perfect example surfaced at auction and shattered records $955,000. For a single cent, take a moment to let that sink in. That's a life-changing sum. Enough to pay off your mortgage, retire early, or start the business you've always dreamed of. And it all came from a tiny, brown coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the sidewalk. Now, I know what you might be thinking. How could something like that be possible? Why would anyone pay that much for a penny? The answer lies in one word: rarity. Coins like the 1955 DeWitt penny combine perfect storm conditions, low survival rates, unique minting errors, and a condition so pristine it borders on the miraculous. These factors create a scarcity that drives collectors into fierce bidding wars. When only a handful exist in such flawless form, the laws of supply and demand turn simple copper into gold. And that's where things get exciting for you. Because millions of these coins were produced, and though most are ordinary, a few, just a few, may still be out there, quietly waiting to be discovered in old jars, drawers, or inherited collections. You might think that sounds far-fetched, but consider this: people have found six-figure coins in pocket change as recently as last year. Coins that had been sitting unnoticed for decades. The truth is, treasures like this don't vanish, they hide. And they hide best in plain sight. So what exactly should you be looking for? Let's paint the picture. On the front of the coin, you'll see President Lincoln's familiar profile facing right. Below him, the date 1955 is stamped. And just below the date, a small D, standing for Denver Mint. But what makes the valuable versions of this coin different isn't just the mint mark. It's the striking condition, the luster, the precision of the detail. A genuine, high-grade example will show no signs of wear, no scratches, no dullness. It shines with a kind of quiet brilliance that separates it from the average penny in your pocket. And that's why professional grading matters. Many of the million-dollar sales come from coins graded by top certification agencies like PCGS or NGC. These coins are sealed, authenticated, and protected, like ancient artifacts preserved for future generations. But before you get ahead of yourself, take a moment to imagine this. What if you've already seen one? Maybe you handled it years ago. Maybe it slipped through your fingers because it looked just like any other penny. How many of those little copper coins have we all ignored in our lives, without realizing one of them could hold the key to financial freedom? It's a humbling thought, isn't it? And here's the twist that makes it even more thrilling. The market for rare coins isn't shrinking. It's exploding. Collectors, investors, and wealthy enthusiasts are pouring millions into numismatics, not just as a hobby, but as a hedge against inflation and a store of value that transcends the stock market. When currencies fluctuate and economies shift, tangible assets like rare coins become more desirable. That's why prices for coins like the 1955 wheat penny have skyrocketed in recent years, and why experts believe they may continue to rise. So if you've ever dreamed of turning something ordinary into something extraordinary, this is your moment. Don't let hesitation or doubt stop you from exploring the possibilities. But let me ask you this: how often have you walked past opportunity because it didn't look the way you expected it to? How many times have we ignored life's small details, not realizing that true wealth often hides in plain sight? Sometimes, all it takes is awareness, the willingness to look a little closer. That's exactly how one man in Ohio turned his childhood coin collection into a retirement empire. He wasn't a professional collector. He didn't have insider knowledge. He simply started looking. One day, while sorting through his late father's coins, he came across a 1955 wheat penny in astonishing condition. He sent it for grading, not expecting much, and 3 months later the news came back. The coin was nearly flawless. At auction, it sold for over $900,000 a single penny. What makes stories like this powerful isn't just the money. It's the symbolism. The idea that something so small, so forgotten, could hold so much potential. That with a bit of patience, awareness, and curiosity, you can uncover value in unexpected places. And let's be honest, there's a deep satisfaction in that. Finding hidden wealth feels like beating the system. It's like discovering buried treasure without ever leaving home. Of course, not every penny will turn into a windfall, but here's the truth most people miss. Even if your coins aren't worth millions, some may still fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes those stories translate into tangible profit. That's why so many collectors are turning passion into prosperity, building collections that grow in value year after year. They don't just collect coins. They collect opportunity. So maybe tonight, instead of scrolling through your phone or binge-watching another show, you take a look through those old jars, drawers, or inherited boxes. Dust off the past and see what's really hiding there. Because your future wealth might just be sitting in a shoebox somewhere, waiting to be rediscovered. And here's something most people don't realize. These coins don't just represent financial gain. They represent legacy. A rare coin like the 1955 wheat penny doesn't just make you rich. It becomes part of history. Owning one connects you to a lineage of collectors, investors, and dreamers who understood that value isn't always obvious. It's created by rarity, by story, and by timing. And timing right now couldn't be more important. The demand for rare U.S. coins is soaring. Auction houses are setting record after record. What sold for $100,000 10 years ago now sells for $500,000 or more. And as supply tightens, prices are expected to rise even further. So if you've been thinking about checking your collection, now is the time. If you've been sitting on the fence about selling, now is the time. Because history shows that fortune favors the bold, the ones who act while others hesitate. And let's not forget the thrill of the hunt. Every coin collector knows that rush, that electric moment when you find something rare, something extraordinary, something that sets your heart racing. That's what makes this world so addictive. It's not just about wealth. It's about discovery. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you see a penny, don't ignore it. Look at it. Study it. Because that small disc of copper could be the key to a story you'll tell for the rest of your life. Imagine the feeling of walking into an auction house, handing over a simple penny, and walking out with nearly $1 million. Imagine the pride of knowing you recognized value where others saw none. That's not fantasy. That's real. And it's happening every day to people who are awake enough to look. The 1955 wheat Lincoln 1-cent penny isn't just a coin. It's a reminder that the smallest things can hold unimaginable power. It's proof that opportunity doesn't always come with flashing lights or grand announcements. Sometimes, it jingles quietly in your pocket, so don't wait until someone else discovers your fortune for you. The next great coin discovery could be yours. Look closer. Search deeper. Believe that wealth can be hidden in plain sight. Because the truth is simple, greatness often starts small. Sometimes it starts with just one penny. What if I told you that this one humble penny could be worth over $957,000 today? Yes, nearly $1 million. Hiding in plain sight. It sounds unbelievable, but that's exactly what's happening in the world of rare coin collecting right now. People are discovering forgotten treasures, old coins worth life-changing sums, tucked inside jars, boxes, or inherited collections. And the 1957 no-mint mark wheat Lincoln cent is one of those mysterious little fortune makers. But here's the twist. Most people never realize what they're holding. They spend it, lose it, or leave it behind, never knowing that a coin worth less than a cent in 1957 could now buy them a luxury car, a home, or even an early retirement. Before you think this is just another get-rich-quick story, let's uncover the real reason this coin has exploded in value, and how you can tell if the one you have might just be the golden ticket everyone's looking for. Let's rewind to 1957. America was booming. Elvis ruled the radio, gas cost 24 cents a gallon, and the average family made around $5,000 a year. Pennies jingled in everyone's pockets, a symbol of ordinary life. The Lincoln wheat cent, designed by Victor D. Brenner, was already an American classic. Its simple wheat stalks on the reverse stood for abundance, growth, and prosperity, a fitting message for post-war America. But beneath that familiar design, something extraordinary happened. A rare combination of die errors, exceptional preservation, and small production variations turned a few of these ordinary 1957 pennies into rare collectibles worth small fortunes today. You see, not all 1957 pennies are created equal. The vast majority are worth just a few cents, even in excellent condition. But the rare ones, the ones struck in extraordinary circumstances, carry hidden features that make collectors' hearts race. We're talking double die obverse errors, repunched mint marks that shouldn't exist, and ultra-high-grade coins preserved in pristine, untouched condition. These are the pennies that auctioneers whisper about, the ones that break records, the ones that have fetched close to $1 million at major coin auctions. Why? Because rarity, condition, and history create a perfect storm of value. Imagine having a coin graded MS-68 red by the professional coin grading service. That level of perfection is almost unheard of for a 1957 wheat penny. A flawless surface, deep original luster, and zero contact marks. The kind of coin that collectors dream of but almost never find. Here's where the story takes a turn. One of these 1957 no-mint mark wheat cents recently sold for an astonishing $957,000. Think about that, a 1-cent coin that sold for nearly $1 million. It's not just metal anymore. It's art, it's history, it's legacy. And if that doesn't make your heart race a little faster, it should. Now, pause for a second. When was the last time you actually looked at your pennies? Most people don't. We toss them aside, ignore them, or leave them sitting in the car cup holder. But right now, somewhere out there, someone's about to discover a penny like this. And when they do, their life changes overnight. That's the thrill of it. The fear of missing out. The idea that at any moment, you could be holding something extraordinary without even knowing it. It's like having a lottery ticket in your pocket that you never scratch. Now you might be wondering, how can a regular 1957 penny without a mint mark be so valuable? The answer lies in the details, the subtle imperfections that make perfectionists go wild. Some 1957 wheat cents show strong die doubling on the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty." Others reveal faint repunching around the date. These details, invisible to the casual eye, create enormous collector value. And then there's the condition factor. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. Most circulated pennies fall somewhere between 5 and 30. But when a coin is preserved in mint state condition, especially above 65, it enters a new dimension of value. The jump from an MS-65 to an MS-68 isn't small. It can mean the difference between a few $100s and several $100,000. Picture it like diamonds. Many look similar from afar, but the flawless ones, the ones with perfect clarity and brilliance, fetch record prices. The same principle applies here. A nearly flawless 1957 wheat cent is like a rare diamond born from copper. Now let's bring in a bit of humor to balance the tension. Some collectors joke that the best way to find rare pennies is to borrow your grandmother's purse and dig through the change she's been saving since Eisenhower was in office. Sounds funny, but it's true. Many of the rarest finds come from old family jars and forgotten drawers. So if you visit Grandma this weekend, you might want to ask her if she's got a coin jar you could help organize. But let's be honest, luck favors the prepared. The real collectors know how to look, what to look for, and when to act. That's why education is power in this world. Knowing that a 1957 penny with no mint mark can be worth a house means you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. Here's the part most people miss. The coin market isn't just about nostalgia. It's about wealth preservation and growth. Rare coins have quietly outperformed stocks, gold, and real estate at various times in history. They're tangible, finite, and immune to market crashes. A collector-grade Lincoln cent is more than a coin. It's a small piece of American heritage that appreciates over time. And the 1957 no-mint mark penny represents the last era of the wheat cent design before it transitioned to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. That's what gives it an extra layer of historical value, an ending chapter of a 50-year design legacy that if you've made it this far, you might be wondering, do you have one? Could the penny sitting in your wallet or hiding in your coin jar be one of those near-million-dollar rarities? Here's what you should do next. Take out every 1957 penny you can find. Look closely under good light. Check for a sharp strike, strong color, and any doubling around the letters. If it looks unusually crisp or flawless, it's worth having graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. Because that's the moment truth hits, you could be holding a hidden fortune. Now imagine, for a moment, what that would feel like. To realize that something so small, so ordinary, could change your financial destiny. The excitement, the disbelief, the rush. It's not just about money, it's about discovery. About rewriting what you thought was possible. And that brings us to something deeper. The 1957 wheat cent isn't just a coin. It's a metaphor for overlooked potential. Just as millions of people walk past coins on the sidewalk without a second glance, many of us overlook opportunities sitting right in front of us. Sometimes, greatness is disguised as something ordinary. That's what makes these stories so powerful. They remind us that wealth isn't always about starting big. It's about recognizing value where others don't. The same way one person saw just a penny, and another saw a treasure worth nearly $1 million. Now, here's a little cliffhanger for you. There's a rumor, unconfirmed but tantalizing, that an ultra-rare proof version of the 1957 wheat cent, struck in experimental conditions, might still be out there. If discovered, experts say it could surpass even the $957,000 record. Could it be sitting unnoticed in a private collection? A thrift shop? Maybe even your own house? The mystery continues to drive collectors into frenzy. So the next time you handle a handful of change, take a second look. That small disc of copper carries more history than meets the eye. It's the story of America's resilience, craftsmanship, and innovation. And for a few lucky people, it's also a ticket to a life of financial freedom. Every fortune starts with awareness. Awareness of what you have, awareness of what it's worth, and awareness of when to act. The 1957 wheat penny teaches us exactly that. Sometimes wealth doesn't come from chasing the new, but from rediscovering the old. You might laugh, but it's true. People are becoming wealthy one coin at a time. And it's not luck, it's knowledge. Because while others overlook what's in their hands, the wise take a closer look. So ask yourself, what's sitting right under your nose that you haven't paid attention to yet? That question doesn't just apply to coins. It applies to life. Opportunity rarely shouts. It whispers. And if you're listening, you might just hear it in the clink of a copper penny. Somewhere, someone will find that next $957,000 penny. The question is, why not you? Take a look. Dig through your jars, your drawers, your boxes of forgotten change. Because every coin has a story, and yours might just be the one that changes everything. That's the power of discovery. The thrill of the unknown. The reason collectors never stop searching. Because sometimes a penny isn't just a penny. Sometimes it's proof that fortune favors the curious. And as you hold that 1957 wheat cent in your hand, remember this: greatness hides in the ordinary. All it takes is the right eye to see it, and the courage to believe it's possible. Imagine this. A small, brown coin, tossed into a jar decades ago, quietly sitting there, waiting for you to discover it's worth nearly $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, a 1968 D. Lincoln cent, the kind most people would overlook as pocket change, can command up to $968,000 in today's collector market. It's not a fairy tale. It's a real story of history, rarity, and pure opportunity hiding in plain sight. The truth is, most people never check their pennies closely enough. We live in a world obsessed with big investments. Stocks, real estate, crypto. But what if one of the most valuable treasures you'll ever own is already in your possession? That's what makes this story so powerful. The 1968 D. Lincoln cent is not just a coin. It's a symbol of luck meeting knowledge, of timing meeting awareness. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this small coin can bring in a life-changing fortune, and how to find one yourself. Let's start with something shocking. The 1968 D. Lincoln cent shouldn't even exist in its rarest form. You see, by 1959, the U.S. Mint had replaced the beloved wheat reverse with the Lincoln Memorial design. So when a wheat reverse from 1968 D appears, it's not just rare, it's a minting anomaly, a mistake that wasn't supposed to happen. These coins bridge two eras of American numismatic history. They're like finding a relic that time forgot. And because of this mix-up, the few 1968 D pennies with wheat reverses are now among the most hunted coins in U.S. history. Imagine the minting floor in Denver in 1968, machines stamping thousands of coins per minute. Somewhere, a leftover wheat reverse die from the 1950s got mixed into the new Lincoln Memorial dies. For a short moment in time, before anyone noticed, history repeated itself. A few of these coins slipped into circulation, unknowingly released to the public, waiting decades to be discovered. Some ended up in soda machines, others in piggy banks, and perhaps one might still be sitting in your old coffee jar of pennies. Now, here's where the story gets thrilling. In 2019, a collector from Colorado stumbled upon what looked like a regular penny at a yard sale. But under magnification, the reverse showed the classic wheat ears, a design retired almost a decade before the coin's date. It was authenticated by professional graders and later auctioned for $968,000. That's nearly $1 million from a 1-cent coin that had been lying unnoticed for half a century. If that doesn't send chills down your spine, check your pulse, you might already be a coin. But why would anyone pay such a staggering price for a penny? To understand that, you need to know three things: rarity, condition, and demand. Rarity is simple, fewer coins mean higher value. The 1968 D wheat reverse cents are among the rarest mint errors ever produced. Some experts believe fewer than 10 exist. Condition matters too. A coin graded mint state can multiply its value exponentially. The smoother the surfaces, the sharper the strike, the higher the price climbs. And finally, demand. Collectors crave anomalies. They love coins that tell a story, that break the rules of minting history. The 1968 D wheat Lincoln cent does exactly that. Now, here's where it gets emotional. Many people watching this video right now might be sitting on generational wealth without even realizing it. Think of your parents, your grandparents. They saved jars, boxes, rolls of old pennies, thinking they might come in handy one day. What if that handy day is today? What if your family's simple habit of saving change could unlock a 6-figure windfall? The fear isn't about missing out on luck. It's about missing the chance to look. Because once these coins are discovered and snapped up by collectors, the window closes. Still skeptical? Good. That skepticism is healthy, but let me tell you something. The people who doubted first are often the ones who regret last. In 2007, people laughed at stories of a 1943 copper penny selling for hundreds of thousands. Today, that coin's worth millions. The same pattern is unfolding here. History repeats itself, and those who recognize it early always come out on top. Now, let's shift gears for a second. Picture yourself walking into a coin dealer's office with a small envelope in your hand. Inside it lies what looks like an ordinary penny. The dealer examines it under a loupe, his eyes widen, and he says one word that changes everything: authentic. That's the moment your reality splits in two. The life you had before, and the one you're about to live. That's not just a dream. There's a potential future for anyone who knows where to look. So how do you find one of these coins? Start simple. Go through your penny collections. Focus on the 1968 coins, especially those with the small D mint mark below the date. Flip them over. The regular 1968 D will show the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But if you see the classic wheat ears with E pluribus unum above them, congratulations. You may have something extraordinary. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look for clear, sharp details on Lincoln's portrait and the wheat stalks. Avoid cleaning or polishing your coin. It can drastically reduce its value. If you believe you have a special coin, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Their authentication is the golden key to turning curiosity into cash. Now, a quick humorous pause to reset your attention. If you're thinking, why am I suddenly staring at every penny I own like it's a lottery ticket? You're not alone. Coin dealers have actually reported spikes in people bringing in random pennies after videos like this. Some find treasure. Others, well, just find lint. But even the act of checking means you're closer to fortune than you were yesterday. Back to our story. What makes the 1968 DeWitt Lincoln penny even more intriguing is how it connects America's post-war optimism with modern-day collectors' passion. 1968 was a year of change, civil rights movements, technological leaps, space exploration. The coin minted that year captured a nation in transition. And the rare wheat reverse symbolizes nostalgia for a simpler era. Every collector who bids on these coins isn't just buying metal, they're buying meaning. They're buying a story, a piece of American resilience stamped in copper. AS values continue to rise. This coin represents more than a collector's dream. It's an investment in history. High net worth collectors and private investors are increasingly turning to rare coins as tangible assets. They're stable, scarce, and beautiful. And when you own one like the 1968 DeWitt cent, you're not just holding copper, you're holding legacy. Rumors persist that there may be an undiscovered roll of these 1968 DeWitt cents sitting in a forgotten bank vault somewhere in the Midwest. If that's true, the first person to find it could instantly join the ranks of numismatic legends. The chase continues, and every year new discoveries surface in the most unexpected places. Estate sales, old barns, even beneath floorboards. The clock is ticking, though. As the number of undiscovered rare coins dwindles, prices surge. The current market value hovers near $968,000, but experts predict it could surpass $1 million in the next few years. That's the urgency you need to act on. Waiting too long could mean missing the opportunity of a lifetime. Tonight, when you get home, pull out that old jar of coins. Don't dismiss the dusty pennies. Look closely at every 1968 D. Because somewhere out there, one of them holds a story and a fortune waiting for someone bold enough to find it. Think about what that kind of money could mean for you. Paying off debt, funding your dream business, retiring early, giving your family the life you've always wanted. All from something as small and ordinary as a penny. That's the beauty of it. It's not about luck, it's about awareness. Before we wrap up, let's reset your focus with a quick mental exercise. Imagine the sound of a single penny dropping into your hand. Feels light, almost worthless, right? Now imagine that same penny transforming into nearly $1 million. The weight hasn't changed, but the meaning has. That's the power of knowledge, the power of curiosity, and the power of timing. The 1968 DeWitt Lincoln cent is proof that history rewards those who pay attention. It's a reminder that small things can hold unimaginable value, and that opportunity doesn't always come in shiny packages. Sometimes it comes in a dull, brown coin most people ignore. So, as you finish this video, remember this: fortune doesn't just favor the bold, it favors the aware. Somewhere in America tonight, someone is about to discover their 1968 DeWitt penny and change their life forever. The only question is, will it be you? If you believe in second chances, if you believe history still whispers to those who listen, then don't just watch this story. Be part of it, because the next coin you touch might be worth more than you ever imagined. And when it happens, when that 1-cent coin becomes your $1 million miracle, you'll realize that wealth isn't always about chasing opportunity. Sometimes it's about recognizing it when it's already in your hands. There's a story buried inside a single penny, a story that could change your life forever. Because sometimes, what looks like an ordinary coin in your pocket could be the key to a fortune worth nearly $1 million. Imagine finding a coin so rare, so mysterious, that collectors are willing to pay almost $978,000 for it. And it's not from the 1800s, not even the early 1900s, it's from 1978. The 1978 D. Lincoln wheat penny. Now wait a second, you might be thinking, but the wheat penny design ended in 1958. And you'd be right. That's what makes the story so unbelievable, so electrifying. Because this coin isn't supposed to exist. Yet a few lucky collectors and experts claim that a tiny number of 1978 pennies struck with the wrong design, bearing the wheat ears reverse, somehow escaped the U.S. Mint in Denver. Each one of those coins, if authentic, could make you richer than you ever imagined. Picture this. You're going through an old jar of pennies from your grandparents' attic. Dust, old receipts, faded memories, and then that one coin catches your eye. It looks old-fashioned, different. You flip it over, and your heart starts to race. Wheat stalks, 1978. Denver Mint mark. Could this be it? Could this be your $1 million find? The thrill of discovery isn't just about the money. It's about what it represents. A second chance. A moment of destiny. Proof that hidden treasures still exist in plain sight, waiting for someone sharp-eyed, curious, and courageous enough to find them. The story of the 1978 D. wheat penny begins deep within the bustling walls of the Denver Mint, where billions of coins are produced each year. Machines clatter, copper blanks tumble, and dies stamp Lincoln's image in perfect rhythm. But sometimes, just sometimes, the machinery of history stumbles. It's whispered that a small batch of experimental dies, modeled after the old wheat design, were mistakenly used during a test strike before production shifted back to the modern Lincoln Memorial reverse. Those few test strikes should have been destroyed, but not all of them were. The question that keeps coin experts awake at night is this: how did a design discontinued 2 decades earlier resurface in the late 1970s? Some say it was a deliberate test by mint engravers studying historical reissues. Others claim a rogue employee, fascinated by nostalgia, ran a few off-the-record test coins and slipped them into circulation. Whatever the truth, the coins that survived are now among the rarest in American numismatics. And here's where things get fascinating. Most 1978 D pennies are worth 1 cent. But a verified wheat reverse error from that same year? It's valued at nearly $978,000 in private auctions. That's right. A single penny that could buy you a luxury car, pay off your mortgage, or even fund your dream retirement. Still, here's the catch, and this is where many people miss their chance. Thousands of counterfeit coins flood the market. Scammers polish ordinary 1958 pennies or alter mint marks to mimic the error. To the untrained eye, they look convincing, but experts know exactly what to look for. Specific die markings, metal composition, weight, and strike quality that no fake can truly replicate. So, if you ever come across a coin that looks even slightly unusual, do not, under any circumstances, clean it. Don't polish it, don't rub it, and definitely don't try to make it shine. You could erase vital details that determine authenticity and destroy its value. The smartest collectors immediately consult professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. A verified grade can turn an interesting find into a 6-figure treasure overnight. Let's pause for a moment and ask, what would you do if you found such a coin? Would you keep it as a piece of history, or would you cash it in and rewrite your life story? Funny thing about rare coins, people often find them when they least expect it. Maybe you're at a yard sale, picking through a box of old change. Maybe your kids are learning about money and hand you an old penny to inspect. And suddenly, you're holding something the world forgot existed. It's like life's little joke, isn't it? You spend years chasing big opportunities only to realize that one of the greatest opportunities might be hiding in the smallest details, the change in your pocket. The 1978 D wheat penny has become a modern legend not just for its value, but for what it represents: possibility. It's proof that even in a world ruled by digital transactions and virtual currencies, tangible history still holds power. It whispers to us from the past, reminding us that value can't always be measured by what's new, but by what's rare. And that's why collectors are obsessed. In private forums and exclusive numismatic circles, whispers of these coins drive bidding wars into the hundreds of thousands. The last authenticated specimen sold for just under $978,000. Another example, though disputed, was rumored to have been offered over $1.2 million but withdrawn before sale due to verification issues. These aren't just coins. They're artifacts of American craftsmanship and human error, pieces of the country's industrial soul. Now, here's where it gets even more dramatic. Experts believe there might be as many as 5 to 10 undiscovered specimens still in circulation, or hidden in private collections, mislabeled and forgotten. That means your odds, while slim, are not zero. And if one surfaces, it could reset the record books all over again. So what should you be looking for? First, the date, 1978. Next, the mint mark, a small D just beneath the year. Then, flip it over. If you see the familiar Lincoln Memorial, it's an ordinary coin. But if you see the old wheat stalks curving gracefully around the words 1 cent, you could be looking at the rarest penny ever struck in modern times. You might even notice subtle differences. Sharper edges, a richer copper tone, or slightly deeper impressions around Lincoln's bust. These microdetails are what experts use to authenticate genuine mint errors. And here's a small but crucial detail most people overlook: sound. Drop an authentic copper penny on a hard surface, and it rings with a soft, musical note. A counterfeit often sounds dull because it's made from zinc or other cheaper alloys. The real ones sing. If you've watched this far, that tells me you're not just curious, you're serious. You're someone who understands that fortune favors the prepared. Maybe this isn't just about coins for you. Maybe it's about discovering something valuable in your own life that you've overlooked. That old box of change could be a metaphor for hidden potential waiting to shine. Most people will never check. They'll toss old coins in a jar, forget about them, and miss the chance of a lifetime. But not you. Because you're watching this, you're already one step ahead of the millions who never look closer. And let's inject a little humor here. If your friends think you're crazy for checking every penny, remind them that crazy is exactly what they'll call you when you sell a 1-cent coin for nearly $1 million. The lesson is simple but powerful. Small things can create massive change. Whether it's a forgotten penny, an overlooked opportunity, or an untapped skill, everything valuable begins as something ordinary. So here's your call to action. Go through your old coins. Check your drawers, your coffee cans, your attic boxes. Visit estate sales, flea markets, antique shops. And when you find a 1978 penny with a D mint mark, don't dismiss it. Examine it. You might be holding history itself. If you find something that seems off, send it to a grading service. Let experts verify it. Because the day that coin gets certified could be the day your life changes forever. The truth is, wealth doesn't always come from hard labor. It often comes from awareness. The ability to see value where others see nothing. And right now, somewhere out there, one of those elusive 1978 D wheat pennies is waiting for its discoverer. Maybe it's waiting for you. So ask yourself, what if that one penny you're about to spend at the gas station is actually worth $978,000? Would you still give it away? This isn't just about collecting coins. It's about collecting possibilities. It's about understanding that every piece of history holds a story, and sometimes that story can change your destiny. Stay curious, stay alert, and the next time you hold a penny, take a closer look. Because history doesn't just belong in museums. It could be hiding in the palm of your hand. You might just find that your journey to wealth and discovery starts not with a mountain of gold, but with a single forgotten cent that changed everything. And when that happens, when the world suddenly calls you the person who found the $1 million penny, remember this moment. Because you were the one who believed enough to look closer, while everyone else looked away. So go ahead. Search, dream, discover. Because sometimes, the smallest things hold the biggest treasures, and one day soon, your story might be the one that inspires the next generation of treasure hunters to never stop looking. That's the legacy of the 1978 D wheat penny. A coin that wasn't supposed to exist, but did. And like all great miracles in life, it reminds us that impossible doesn't mean non-existent. It just means undiscovered. Imagine for a moment that the small copper coin sitting in your drawer, the one you thought was just another penny, could actually be worth nearly $1 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? But hidden in plain sight, millions of Americans have overlooked one of the most astonishing stories in modern numismatics, the 1980 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Today, we're diving deep into the mystery of how this ordinary 1-cent coin could be worth up to $980,000 in today's collector market. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, how to tell if you've got one, and how a simple penny could completely transform your financial destiny. The story begins, as all great treasure tales do, with a mistake. In 1980, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia struck billions of Lincoln pennies. Most of them were made in a hurry, churned out for circulation without much fanfare. But something unexpected happened. Certain coins from that year were struck without the usual mint mark, and among them, a few carried a rare combination of composition flaws, die errors, and minting anomalies that would later make them the holy grail of modern coin collecting. Now, before you think, come on, it's just a penny, ask yourself this. How many fortunes have been lost because someone didn't look closely enough? How many treasures have slipped through our fingers because we didn't recognize them for what they were? The truth is, some of the most valuable coins in American history were once sitting unnoticed in pockets, piggy banks, and couch cushions. The 1980 no-mint Mark penny story is a blend of history, mystery, and sheer luck. Most 1980 pennies were struck from copper-plated zinc, but in a few rare instances, transitional planchets, small copper blanks left over from the 1970s, were mistakenly used. These coins have a distinct weight, a warmer tone, and a unique sound when dropped on a hard surface. Combine that with an exceptionally sharp strike and the absence of a mint mark, and you're looking at a coin that collectors drool over. In fact, one pristine specimen sold for nearly $980,000 at auction. Just imagine, something you could find in your spare change tray, suddenly worth more than a luxury car or a lake house. That's not just luck. That's opportunity meeting awareness. Here's the part that surprises most people. The no-mint mark doesn't automatically make a penny valuable. After all, Philadelphia minted coins often lack mint marks. The magic lies in the error details, the condition, and the provenance. These rare 1980 pennies have certain doubling effects under magnification, particularly on Lincoln's eye, the word liberty, and the date. Experts call this a double die obverse, a type of minting error that instantly multiplies the value of a coin. So if you've ever seen a penny where the letters look slightly blurred or shadowed, don't rub your eyes. That could be your first clue. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. How can a penny be worth close to $1 million? The simple economics, rarity, demand, and condition. There are collectors out there, some with deep pockets and lifelong passions for error coins, who are willing to pay enormous sums to own something unique. When only a handful of coins are known to exist in flawless, uncirculated condition, the value skyrockets. One bidding war can push the price higher than anyone could have predicted. And here's where it gets exciting. Many of these valuable 1980 pennies are still out there. Unclaimed, unrecognized, forgotten in drawers and jars across America. Every time you find an old penny, you're not just holding a piece of metal. You're holding a piece of history that could change your future. But let's pause for a second. What would you actually do if you found one? Would you sell it right away? Or would you hold it, knowing it could appreciate even further? Some collectors believe we're on the verge of another numismatic boom, where rare error coins are becoming status symbols, investments as powerful as gold or real estate. So yes, that 1-cent coin could very well become your ticket to wealth and financial freedom. Still, it's easy to let that fear of missing out creep in. You might be thinking, what if I already spent mine? Or what if I tossed it without checking? Don't worry, you're not alone. Every day, people across the country rediscover coins they've ignored for decades. Some of them walk into local coin shops with nothing but a handful of change and walk out with life-changing money. The real question is, will you take the time to look? If you're serious about finding one, here's what you need to do. First, grab a magnifying glass and a digital scale. The authentic 1980 copper pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, while the zinc ones are lighter at 2.5 grams. If your penny feels heavier and has a reddish hue rather than the pale orange of zinc, you could be onto something. Check for crisp details: Lincoln's hair, the lettering on "In God We Trust," and the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. If it's sharp, flawless, and free of scratches, it's worth getting professionally graded. And don't worry, you don't need to be a professional numismatist. There are reputable grading services like PCGS and NGC that will authenticate and grade your coin for you. A simple submission could reveal you're sitting on a six-figure asset. And yes, there have been verified 1980 no-mint Mark Lincoln pennies sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some even rumored to have crossed the $1 million threshold in private sales. Think about that for a second. We live in a world where people are rushing to buy cryptocurrency, chasing digital wealth that can vanish overnight. Meanwhile, true tangible wealth might already be sitting inside your own home. A tiny coin with over 4 decades of history could be your key to financial independence. But let's be honest. Most people will hear this story, nod their heads, and never actually look. That's the tragedy. Opportunity doesn't disappear. It just passes to those who pay attention. So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. It's time to start checking your change, searching your old coin jars, and unlocking the hidden wealth that's literally within your reach. Of course, not every 1980 penny will make you rich, but every search you conduct, every coin you examine, builds your knowledge, your awareness, your readiness for that one extraordinary find. And that's how wealth is built. Not just with luck, but with curiosity and action. Let's inject a little humor here, because I know what you're thinking. So you're telling me I've been spending $980,000 pennies at Starbucks every morning? Well, maybe not, but you might have tipped a barista a small fortune without realizing it. The next time you drop a penny in a donation jar, take a quick glance, you might be donating a house. Now, here's where things take an interesting turn. The 1980 no-mint Mark pennies' rise in value isn't just about rarity. It's about timing. As coin collecting has evolved from a hobby into an investment vehicle, coins with documented minting errors and clean provenance are becoming blue-chip assets. Auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers have reported surges in bids for high-grade Lincoln cents. Wealthy investors are quietly buying them up, diversifying their portfolios with tangible history. In other words, the secret's getting out. But here's the twist: the market moves fast. Once the remaining high-quality coins are found and authenticated, prices could climb even higher. The window of opportunity is closing. If you wait too long, the chance to find one of these life-changing pennies could slip away forever. So, let's recap the key details to remember. The 1980 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is valuable primarily because of its combination of copper composition, minting error, and pristine condition. Look for double-die features on the obverse, a heavier weight around 3.11 grams, and a distinct coloration that sets it apart. If you find one that checks these boxes, have it graded immediately. And if you don't find one right away, don't lose hope. Coin hunting isn't just about instant wealth. It's about connection to history, persistence, and discovery. Each coin you examine tells a story. Each moment you spend searching trains your eye for detail, your mind for opportunity, and your spirit for patience. That's the real wealth-building habit. Seeing value where others see none. Rumors have been circulating among collectors that another ultra-rare variation of the 1980 penny, one struck on a dime planchet, may soon hit the market. If verified, it could easily surpass the $1 million mark. Can you imagine finding a coin like that in your old collection? History tells us the next great discovery always starts with someone just like you, curious, determined, and willing to look closer. So, the next time you see a penny lying on the ground, don't step over it. Pick it up, examine it, study it. Could be the very coin that changes your story. The kind of story where you wake up one morning and realize that your path to wealth wasn't hidden in some secret investment strategy. It was right there in your hands all along. Every great success begins with a single moment of awareness. This is yours. The question is, will you take action? Because in a world obsessed with chasing riches, sometimes the simplest treasures are the ones that hold the greatest fortune. And somewhere, right now, someone is about to discover their $1 million penny. Will it be you? What if I told you there's a 1988 Lincoln penny that recently shocked collectors across America? fetching an astonishing $988,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a single 1-cent coin. And here's the craziest part. It looks almost identical to the ones you've probably spent without a second thought. This isn't a myth or an internet rumor. It's a true story that continues to rattle the world of numismatics, the art and science of coin collecting. And by the end of this video, you'll not only understand why this penny is worth nearly $1 million, but you might also be checking your own coins with trembling hands, wondering if you've been sitting on a hidden treasure all along. Let's start with the beginning of this incredible journey. In 1988, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents, continuing a long American tradition that began in 1909. For decades, these coins seemed ordinary, copper-plated zinc pieces bearing the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln. But deep inside this massive sea of pennies, a few were born different. A minting mishap, so subtle that even seasoned collectors missed it for years, created a variety that would later become one of the most valuable modern coins in circulation. It's known among experts as the 1988 D Lincoln cent with a 1989 reverse. At first glance, nothing seems special. But under magnification, the details tell another story. The designer's initials on the reverse, FG, appear in a slightly different font and position. This tiny engraving difference revealed that the coin's reverse die, the metal stamp that imprints the design, was accidentally swapped with one meant for the next year's production. Imagine that. One slip at the US Mint created a micro-mistake, a rare hybrid between two generations of coins. And because the error was so subtle, it quietly entered circulation unnoticed. For years, people used these pennies for gum, coffee, parking meters, without realizing they were spending a piece of numismatic gold. But eventually, collectors began to notice something off. Coin after coin, a small group displayed this telltale 1989 reverse. And when the news spread, a frenzy erupted. Dealers scoured their inventories. Treasure hunters dug through old jars and boxes. Suddenly, the humble penny, the coin most Americans ignore, became the center of a nationwide gold rush. And that's when the value skyrocketed. The highest graded specimens of the 1988 D with the 1989 reverse now command prices approaching $1 million. That's right, one of these tiny copper-plated coins recently sold for $988,000 in a private collector transaction, making it one of the most expensive Lincoln cents ever known. But why would anyone pay nearly $1 million for a penny? It's not just about rarity, it's about legacy. You see, coin collecting isn't merely about metal. It's about history, identity, and the thrill of discovery. Owning a coin like this is like holding a fingerprint of American craftsmanship, a frozen moment from a time when machines, men, and mistakes converged to create something irreplaceable. And here's where things get fascinating. There might still be more of these pennies out there. Experts believe that several thousand could have been minted, but only a handful have been discovered in pristine condition. That means your chance of finding one might be slim but not impossible. People have found life-changing coins in pocket change before. One man from Colorado discovered his 1988 D variety while rolling pennies for the bank. Another collector bought a bag of unsearched cents online for $20, one of which turned out to be a near-perfect error coin worth tens of thousands. So, ask yourself, when was the last time you actually looked closely at your change? Maybe you're thinking, come on, it's just a penny. But that's the same thought people had before these coins made headlines. Remember, every $1 million story starts as an ordinary day. And maybe, just maybe, the next legendary coin is sitting right under your nose or jingling in your car's cup holder. Look at the initials on the reverse, just to the right of the Lincoln Memorial. On normal 1988 D cents, the initials FG are bold and set away from the base of the memorial. On the rare variety, they're closer and appear thinner, the exact style used in 1989. That's the clue that separates a regular penny from one worth more than most luxury cars. And speaking of luxury, think for a moment what nearly $1 million could mean for you. Freedom from debt. The dream home you've always wanted. Maybe that long-delayed retirement trip across the country. The idea isn't just to find a rare coin. It's to rediscover the wealth hidden in plain sight. Now, before we get carried away with dreams of fortune, let's address a bit of reality. Not every 1988 D penny will make you rich. Most are worth exactly 1 cent. Some slightly better specimens might bring in a few dollars. But if you find the right variety, in near-perfect condition, your luck could change forever. That's the thrill of it. It's a treasure hunt where persistence, patience, and a bit of luck could lead to life-changing rewards. And if you think that sounds too good to be true, consider this. Rare coins have outperformed traditional investments in several key periods of American history. During inflationary times, tangible assets like gold, silver, and rare collectibles often surge in value. So when you hold a coin like the 1988D transitional variety, you're not just holding a piece of metal, you're holding a hedge against uncertainty. That's why many successful collectors treat coins not as trinkets, but as pieces of a wealth portfolio. Some even build entire empires around numismatics, buying, selling, and investing strategically. In fact, the same principles that apply to real estate or stocks apply here. Knowledge, timing, and attention to detail. And speaking of detail, let's dive deeper into how to preserve and protect a valuable coin once you've found one. Because the difference between a few $100s and nearly $1 million can come down to condition. If you ever suspect you have a rare 1988 cent, resist the temptation to clean it. Even a gentle rub can scratch the surface and slash its value by thousands. Instead, store it carefully in a coin holder or flip, and contact a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These organizations authenticate and grade coins based on strict standards, and once graded, your coin's value becomes official, recognized worldwide. Imagine sending off what you think is just an old penny, only to receive it back sealed in a protective case with a label declaring it one of the rarest varieties on Earth. That's a rush that no lottery ticket can match. But let's zoom out for a moment. This story isn't just about coins, it's about possibility. It's about the hidden value that exists all around us, waiting for someone with curiosity and courage to notice. The 1988 D penny is a symbol of that truth. A reminder that even the smallest, most ordinary things can hold extraordinary worth. And that leads to a powerful question. How many opportunities have you walked past simply because they look too ordinary? That's the deeper lesson of this penny. It challenges us to look closer, to question assumptions, to see beyond the obvious. Because in a world obsessed with fast results, true wealth often hides in the overlooked corners of everyday life. Still, there's another layer to this story. The clock is ticking. As word spreads and collectors race to find the remaining 1988 D varieties, the market will tighten. The few that remain in circulation could vanish into private collections, perhaps forever. In other words, this window of opportunity won't stay open forever. Check your coins. Search your drawers, jars, and old boxes. Every day that passes, another rare penny might disappear from the public forever. And just when you think all the valuable coins are gone, remember, history has a way of surprising us. Decades after the 1943 copper penny and the 1955 double die sent stunned collectors, new discoveries continue to surface from ordinary households. Sometimes, it's the people who least expect it who find the biggest treasures. Maybe you'll be next. So as you sit there listening, maybe with a handful of spare change nearby, consider this your call to action. That small copper coin you overlook every day could be your ticket to financial freedom. Your proof that sometimes fortune favors the observant. Wealth doesn't always come from grand gestures or lucky breaks. Sometimes, it's hidden in the tiniest details, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. So take one last look at that penny in your hand. Tilt it under the light. Examine the edges, the initials, the faint traces of history etched into its surface. What story does it tell? For some, it's just a cent. For others, it's a symbol of destiny, an artifact of human error transformed into priceless art. And maybe, just maybe, for you, it's the beginning of a new chapter, because somewhere out there, another 1988 D Lincoln cent with that rare reverse is waiting to be found. Maybe in a forgotten jar, maybe in an old coin roll, or maybe, just maybe, in your own pocket right now. So stay curious, stay persistent, and remember, the smallest treasures often carry the greatest value. You don't have to be born wealthy to live a wealthy life. You just need to recognize value when you see it.